Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home.
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, everyone, it's Amy.
Yes!
And?
Yes! Yes!
Yes, it is, Amy. What happened?
What happened
We
there?
made it to April!
Oh my God.
And nobody even tried to throw you off. Yes!
Oh my gosh. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Debrief Podcast. I am joined as always by my co-hosts,
Brought
Phil,
to you by
Scott, and
DVC
Kathleen.
Clubhouse.
Did I say that?
Hi, guys.
Did I
Nope,
not say
missed
that?
that one.
Oh gosh, yeah. You know, I told you guys I'm a little tired, a little foggy,
Mm-hmm.
but
Look, so you've already spoiled the resolution. Do you just want to start over and get it clean, or are we just going to push right through?
let's just push right through.
All right, you got it.
I thought
It's
her
more
internet
interesting when I
froze
mess up anyway.
So did I. She froze so hard I thought we lost the signal. Don't make me laugh. It hurts to laugh today.
Sorry.
Ow.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my mind just went blank. I was like, this is Amy and
And I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
and I have no idea what I'm doing right now.
I'm not going to lie. We just recorded the previous episode, and I was, because you were so clean on the intro, I was like, she's got this. It has just become second nature. She's going to carry it through all the way. I had total faith in you after that last one.
I had faith in myself too, and I don't know. I am blaming the fact that I am exhausted.
And we're
but,
doing
you
another
know,
back-to-back recording, which
Yeah.
never goes well on number 2.
But anyway, yeah. So I made it to April 21st. That's longer than I've kept any
It
of
was
my
a heck
previous
of a
New Year's
run.
resolution.
Look, thank goodness all the resolutioners at the gym have been out for a month, so
Yeah.
you made it longer than them.
All right. So yeah. Anyway, so welcome everybody. I hope you all know where you are. This is the Debrief Podcast, in case you missed that. Brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. Today we are going to be talking to Phil, who is also recovering from 3 root canals, about his upcoming trip to Disney.
3 root canals in one morning. It was not pleasant, but the entire dentist office bet against me, and they lost. I buckled down and got it done.
There you go.
But we're not here
Never
to talk
give
about
up,
root canals.
never
thank
surrender.
goodness.
We're here to talk about your trip when you're going to be staying at the new Island Tower, which I remember when because you own a Polly.
Mhm.
As soon as owners could book it, you were on there trying to get this room. So
That morning, I was on a boat underway with my AirPods in, waiting on hold, desperately trying to book this trip. And honestly, that awful experience this morning, the only thing that has kept me going the last 2 weeks with this medical issue I've got going on is knowing that if I got this done, I had Disney to look forward to. Like, that was the goal. That was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That was the silver lining. Dude, this sucks. There's going to be a lot of appointments. You've got an issue that needs to be taken care of. But if you just get through this, it will be all done. And then a few days later, you can get on a plane and you can go spend 10 days at the new Poly Tower, meals, pools, beautiful weather. Just get through this. Like, that has been what I've been visualizing the entire time to get through this whole ordeal. And it's almost here.
you're almost there. So you are staying, remind me, you're staying in a resort view, one
Yes.
bedroom?
How are they qualified now? I can't keep
I
up with the
know.
qualifications. Like, it used to be theme park view, water view, standard view. and it's not that anymore.
It's
I can't.
resort view, theme
Preferred?
park view.
Is
Yeah,
it
we're going to
preferred?
have the parking lot / monorail view because I opted for more days instead of better view. So the reason behind that, as I've said before, the kids are getting older. We've been looking forward to this trip as soon as we figured out that it was the same association, which, by the way, I was banking on, and everyone told me I was crazy. As soon as we learned that, we knew we were going to get to stay at the tower, a 1-bedroom, which has always been the downfall of the Poly. As much as we love that resort, that room was getting tiny for 2 full-grown adults, 1 3/4 grown adult, and 1 half grown. We knew it was getting tight, so we've had to go to other resorts lately. We've been getting our fix at the Poly with a few nights there and then doing a split stay. And I don't love split stays, but we wanted that bigger room. Once we knew we could get a 1-bedroom at the Poly, even at the tower, we were looking forward to it. And the kids are getting older, and this may be the last big trip we get that's outside of a school vacation. Luke's going to be in high school in a couple of years. Mackenzie's going into middle school. It's getting harder to pull them. So I opted for way more nights, knowing this was going to be a giant trip. I mean, it's a full 10-day trip, 9 nights. The first night we're staying in an old school studio because I wanted to get in the night before. So we just booked a regular studio, low points, and then we're going to transfer into the 1-bedroom on Saturday and stay in that 1-bedroom from Saturday through the following Sunday. So it's a long trip. It's a full 10 days.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to stay in a studio in the Island Tower because they only sleep 4.
Right.
So you have to pick an OG studio.
Yeah, it's like I always joke with my buddy Gary because he's got 2 little girls. I'm like, but you're lucky you've got 2 girls. We've got a little girl and a boy who's almost 13. Sharing the bed is not happening anymore. Like that was fine when they were 2 and 4. That's not working anymore. It's getting a little awkward as they're getting bigger and understanding the difference between boys and girls. So at the very least, we need those studios that sleep 5 just so we can separate everybody out. But it's becoming a room issue. It's just really difficult for any extended period of time to put 2 big kids and 2 full-grown adults in a studio for any more than 4 or 5 days. Well, all right. I mean, I guess that spoiled me saying that. Plenty of families do it. We just don't enjoy it as much anymore. It's becoming very clear that a studio is very tiny for 4 full-size people for any extended period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I go with my girls, and I mean, we're only 3, so we're 1 fewer, but they won't share a bed. So, I mean, the 3 of us could never stay in a Island Tower studio. We'll always have to do the OG because they need the separate beds. So
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm kind of nervous about is we do enjoy the whole ambiance of the Poly and the OG studios. There's a lot of nostalgia there. I personally think the Island Tower looks beautiful. Amy, you've stayed there. You seem to like it. But I'm a little nervous about if it's going to have the same feel. We'll find out in 11 days, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I think on one of the episodes we touched briefly on my stay. I didn't say a lot because I knew you had a trip coming up, so I didn't want to say anything. But when you come back, I do want to have a conversation because I do have thoughts, but I don't want to share them until you go and experience it yourself.
I think there's going to be good and bad. There's going to be the lack of nostalgia. I am going to like the bigger room. It's nice, it's big, it's beautiful, but it's definitely going to be different. So I'm curious myself. We have actually not done any walkthroughs with the kids. Emily and I did see the 1-bedroom model room at Saratoga. It's absolutely beautiful, but I have not even looked at anything besides some still pictures of the lobby. I don't want to know what it looks like. I want to walk in there with my kids next week and kind of feel it together for the first time and get that whole experience. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. I appreciate you, not giving me a whole lot of spoiler alerts, but it'll be interesting to compare
Yeah.
notes in a couple of weeks to see where we are.
Yeah, I feel like one thing I do want to tell you, and I mean, you may already be aware of this, but I mean, since I was just at Grand Floridian a couple of days ago, the construction on the golf course, it is a disaster over there. So just be prepared
It's been
that
a disaster
your
on that roadway for 3 years. Just coming out of the Polynesian and trying to take a left there to get back out to the other side of property is just a disaster. It's an accident waiting to happen.
It is as unsightly as I've ever seen it. I mean, even Emma commented to me like, "Oh my gosh, this is like the worst. Like if this was your first trip to Disney and this is what you were going to stay at the Grand Floridian or Polynesian, you'd be like, what the hell is this?" So just it is like that it is all torn up over there. So that is going to be part of your view. So just like be prepared for that. Someday down the road, it'll, the golf course will be done and it'll look lovely. But for your first day, you're going to have a big mess to look at. So
Yeah, we're
just be
focusing
prepared
on
for
telling
that.
the children they have a monorail view. We're trying to make this very positive and optimistic. Like, no, you don't have construction view. You have a view of the monorail going by. So we try and
Yeah.
keep them
And when it
focused
goes
on that.
by, it is super close. Like it is very cool because it passes by pretty close. But I just wanted to give you that little heads up because
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew that going in based on what we've seen staying over on that side the last few trips. That's just a disaster out there. But I think you're right. In a couple of years, it's going to look beautiful. But frankly, most of our time is going to be spent at the pool, in the parks. You guys know how we roll. There's not a whole lot of time spent sitting on the balcony.
right.
We love the Bay Lake view because of the balcony, but we're only out there typically in the morning and late at night. So hopefully it's not a huge deal. We'll see.
Yeah. Do you have plans on any of the nights to go into any of the firework viewing lounges that are
Yeah, I
in
think
that?
we're going to have to. I think they're so beautiful. I'm a little interested to see how hard they pack up. And we know that you can't get up there unless you've got a room key, so that should keep the crowds down some. But I'd imagine they still draw crowds for the nights to go and see them. What'll be interesting is, especially because of where they look out to, we just modified our plans a little bit the last few days because they released the park hours. I'm curious to see when the fireworks are going to go and if they're going to be held late, if they're still going to hold to the same times. Because you look at Magic Kingdom, it's 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 10 p.m., midnight, 11 p.m. So I don't know. We might actually watch the fireworks from somewhere else a couple of nights just because we've got such cool late night access at Magic Kingdom. But I think at least once or twice, we're going to have to see it from there. It's one of the benefits of that resort. I think you almost have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Scott, Kathleen, if you guys want to see it from that vantage point as well, any night you're welcome. And we told John and James the same thing. I actually listed John on the reservation so he could get past the guard shack with the magic band so he and James could come and see it from that vantage point as well because they've been very curious. Before they moved down there, they were huge Poly people.
Yeah, those
10
spaces are
days.
really pretty. And I'd be curious to know how crowded they get because I mean, I would imagine that really only people who have like standard views use them because, like when I went, I had a theme park view. There's a lot of rooms that have a view of the fireworks. So like we just watched it from our balcony. So there's really no reason for the people who have those views to go watch it. So it's not like everyone who's staying in that tower is trying to cram in there. So hopefully
Right. It's like when we were at Grand Floridian, everyone was down on the docks. Like, why are we going to walk down to the docks? Our balcony looks out at the monorail and the fireworks. Of course, we're going to watch it from here. That's the benefit of this
Right.
room.
Exactly. All right. So what are the highlights of this trip? What do you got going on this trip?
Well, the funny thing is that, like I mentioned, it's actually changed just in the last few days. So we had initially booked that OG suite. We don't like the kids getting up super early in the morning anymore. They don't like it. They don't like getting up early. We found that we used to do that when they were super little and they would nap. But now if we take that 6 a.m. flight out, they end up so beat up that first night, and they've hit the age now where they want to hit the ground running that by day 3, they're a disaster because we had a 3 a.m. wake up call. So we had initially planned to go out, I think 3 p.m. on Friday. We were going to get there. We had some reservations for that night. And then Southwest popped a sale last week, and I was able to get us like a 10:30 a.m. flight out. So we're actually going to get there earlier on Friday. That threw us for a little loop because we had a 7:45 p.m. reservation at Beaches and Cream. Now I'm like stalking that reservation every day, trying to get it moved back closer and closer so they don't have to wait so long. But we're going to get in early. We've got a Beaches and Cream. And then because we're doing a split stay, I think we mentioned it on a previous episode, we actually have another check-in day on Saturday, and the kids have never done the water park. So I think they're most looking forward to Typhoon Lagoon. They're super stoked to go in there. We've got the umbrellas reserved, so we've got a seat. We don't have to worry about rushing in and finding towels and seats. They're looking forward to that. We've got a bunch of new stuff. We're doing Typhoon Lagoon. That night we're doing Hoop-de-Doo. Believe it or not, in all the years we've been going, our kids have never been to Hoop-de-Doo. We used to do Trails End all the time when it was a buffet, and we loved it. We're going to go over to Hoop-de-Doo at Fort Wilderness, Scott, your favorite, and watch the show so the kids can say that they did it. I have been somehow talked into doing Liberty Tree Tavern for dinner. even though I've always been very anti-Liberty Tree, but the kids want to do it. We're going to go and do that. What else? They're going to do Narcoossee's for the first time. By the way, the hands down winner of the Sweet 16 for dining, Narcoossee's, as it should be.
As it
Em
should
and I
be.
have done it. We love it, but they're going to get to go into Narcoossee's for the first time. I promised Mackenzie again for the first time ever she could do a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, so she's got that one day. But frankly, most of the trip is going to revolve around just taking it easy. It's May. It's going to be hot. Flower and garden. We're going to want to walk Epcot. I think there's going to be a lot of time spent in the pool on this vacation. And we're going to have access to the new pool, the splash pad, the old pool over at Poly. Go ahead, Scott.
Wait, whoa. 10 days at the Poly.
Yes.
I didn't hear one meal at Ohana's.
at Ohana's Irish pub.
Yeah. No plans to eat there?
No, none at all. Years ago, and I said it on the page. I'll come right out and say it. I think that got as far as it did based on nostalgia. You talked to me about Ohana back in 2013, 2016. I am all in. No Ohana this trip. We also did, when Ohana started going a little downhill, we moved over to Kona. Kona was a great meal. The last few years, Kona has changed. Their menu is shrinking. Their portion sizes are shrinking. There's just, look, I'll be perfectly frank, and I've said it before, it's the one of the downfalls of that resort for me is the dining. I think we'll try the new restaurant that is at the tower, but unfortunately they are not taking reservations yet, so that's going to be a walk up. If we see an opportunity, we'll do it, but I didn't book it because there's no reservations available. Well, let's see, what have we got? Beaches and Cream, Hoop-de-Doo, Trattoria, Liberty Tree, Tepanito, Skipper Canteen, Narcoossee's, Rosa, and I've got a Plaza stuck in there just for funsies because I needed something, but that's another one that's kind of slipped down our list the last few years. That'll probably change before all is said and done.
Sounds pretty fun. I mean, that's a pretty good lineup right there.
And I think the dining choices are pretty solid. I mean, you've got some good stuff. You've got a dinner show. You know, the kids love Tepanito. Skipper Canteen's another one, is kind of hit or miss. I think it kind of survives, but that was the night that Magic Kingdom's open till midnight. So we wanted something inside the park a little later that we could feed them and then kind of let them go a little long and see what happens. We've got an off day built in on Tuesday, lots of pool time, and then maybe we'll sneak into Epcot for Tepanito that night because they love that meal so much. You know, we've hit the point where the kids want to go hard all the time, but we need to try and throttle them back a little bit. So we're just talking about, you know, breakfast inside the room. You know, we talked about it in the last episode too, about prices rising and everything else. And I had actually meant to bring it up this episode because we're planning so much pool time. I think maybe this is where Disney is not realizing they can only squeeze so much money. Breakfast has always been in the room for us because I don't like spending that money. I have a $200 Instacart order already prepped in my cart to get delivered. We're talking about lunch made in the room, brought in a cooler down to the pool in the afternoon instead of doing $75 lunches in the park every single day. This is going to be a laid back trip. We've got some expensive dinners, but I can see it being very resort heavy in the afternoons.
I love that it's a trip of many firsts for you guys. I mean, first time at the tower, first time at Typhoon, first time doing Hoop-de-Doo.
First time doing Liberty Tree, first time at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Are you going to all 4 parks or not?
Oh yeah, we'll hit them. We've got them kind of all over the place. I mean, you guys know how we roll. We'll typically get up early, hit a park, especially in May when it gets hot midday, knock out a few rides, go back to the hotel for a while, play in the pool, grab a shower, change into fresh clothes, go back for dinner, and then when it starts to cool off at night, get back inside the parks. You know, as usual, we've got, you know, one Animal Kingdom early. We'll hit Hollywood Studios, I think, early one day, but we tend to like Hollywood Studios a lot at night. I think Hollywood Studios really shines at night versus the day. It's an asphalt jungle during the day. It gets really crowded. The lines get brutal, but that is a beautiful park to walk around at night. I think that's when Hollywood Boulevard really shines. I think that's when Galaxy's Edge really shines. I think that that's the only time of day that Toy Story Land is even tolerable. So we tend to really skyliner over to there at night. think we've got a Trattoria one night, and we're going to Skyliner over into Hollywood Studios. That's really when I enjoy that park the most. And, but can't really do Animal Kingdom at night because they don't open at night. So you've got to do that one during the day.
Do you guys
Yeah.
get the lightning lanes, or do you guys wait standby?
So we'll probably wait standby. I wasn't really sure. It's one of those things that I've mentioned before, drives me nuts. If you want to get good dining, you've got to do it at 60 days out. Now, I've wanted the 30 days out for lightning lanes, but they didn't release the park hours until a week ago. So you get your dining reservations all set up, you get your lightning lanes all set up, and then they do things like release that Magic Kingdom's open until 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. That totally changes the feel of your day. I think if we were going for 5 or 6 days, I probably would have done some multi-passes and worked through it, but I think we'll be there for plenty of time to hit anything we want. And then the stuff they really want to do, Guardians or Tron, I'll just buy them onto for the individuals to say we got it done. And if we see opportunity, we'll take it. And if we don't, if you're there for 10 days and you can't hit everything you want to do over 10 days, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Well, and I think, one of my favorite things is if you decided like on a day that you wanted to maybe do Lightning Lane, go to Animal Kingdom in the morning, buy your Lightning Lane for Animal Kingdom, and then hop to the more expensive parks
Mhm.
and add your stuff on so that you can get away with, maybe banging 2 parks out for the cost of one Animal Kingdom day Lightning Lane.
Yeah, Lightning Lane was so much better for those of us in the know when you could game the system. I think Disney really succeeded in evening the playing field for everybody with the new Lightning Lane system, which is great for your visitors that only come once in a lifetime or once every 5 years. But for those of us that really knew how to game the system on the old Lightning Lanes, it was fantastic. You had to get it every time if you knew how to play it because you could just sit there and rack them up the way you wanted to. Not so much the way it goes now, but we'll see.
Yeah,
The
well,
other
at
thing that
least
comes down to is
but
I'm
at least
super
now
competitive. I'm sorry, go ahead, Amy.
well, I was gonna say at least now, like, since you're an annual pass holder and you can hop, because the Lightning Lane is based, it's dynamic pricing and it's cheaper. That is my favorite hack now because you're right. Like you can't game it the way that you could, but if you can just go and tap into like Flight of Passage first thing in the morning and then head over to Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, you are not paying the high price tag for the Lightning Lane there. So it's one way to save money.
Yeah, I tend to do it more with Epcot or Magic Kingdom, and only because Epcot, I never think it's worth it to get lightning lanes at Epcot because there's just not enough there to justify the price of having the multipass. So if you can do it later in the day and get the 2 or 3 that you really want, especially now with Test Track being off the board, or Magic Kingdom, just because there's so much there. There's so many different things that you can use it for that you can really, really front load a night by taking advantage of it early in the day.
And you've got some extended evening hours while you're there,
We've
right?
got a ton of extended evening hours, more Magic Kingdom than anywhere else, but there's a few. I mean, there's Hollywood Studios to 10 p.m., like 7 nights out of the 10. I'm looking now. Epcot is 9 o'clock across the board. There's no extended evening hours there.
Oh wow,
Magic
that's
Kingdom is
surprising.
super late almost every night. And with the tower now, you're so close to the walking path. I actually said to Luke, because, he's going on 13. He kind of wants to go a little later, be a big kid. There might be nights where your sister wants to stay in the pool. Your mother and I will just walk with you over to Magic Kingdom, and maybe we just hop onto Space Mountain. Maybe we just hop onto a ride and do it and stay late, as long as you can keep it together the next day. Having that walking path, it's the one good thing about the Poly Tower being set so close to Grand Floridian is now you can just walk your way right across, and it's only a 10-minute walk. I mean, you'll be waiting for the boat for as long as it takes you to walk right into Magic Kingdom. So having that available, I think is, we've always said when we stay at Boardwalk or Yacht Club, it becomes a very Epcot-centric trip. When we stay over on Seven Seas Lagoon, it's a very Magic Kingdom-centric trip. And being May, you avoid the problems we always have in December, which is Magic Kingdom is closed 5 nights out of every 7 for the Christmas party. So when we were there in December, I think there was only one night that Magic Kingdom was open late without a party ticket. So we're really going to take advantage of that. And because it's going to be so warm, I just want to wander the park. I want to take it all in. I want to enjoy ourselves. And that's the problem with the lightning lane is my uber competitive self takes over and I start booking everything and I start pushing the kids like it's a forced march. And Emily has to back me off sometimes because I'm like, we can get the next one. We can get the next one. We can get the next one. Where if I don't get the lightning lane, it's like, hey, guys, Seven Dwarves is down to 30 minutes. Come on. Hey, guys, Haunted Mansion is showing 13, which we all know is a walk-on. Come on. We're going to get to do everything. We're going to get to see everything. Let's just take it as it comes, relax, enjoy the trip, enjoy the pool, enjoy the warmth, and just roll with it.
What day do you arrive?
We go in Friday the 2nd, and we're out Sunday the 11th.
So we're just going to miss you at the Poly. Because we have a stay there too coming up, but it's on the 17th, I believe.
17th, yeah.
Yeah, we had talked about that before. We just missed you guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'll be our first time too, staying there.
Well, we'll see you on Saturday, Scott, and then you guys are welcome anytime during the week if you want to venture on over, and then we've all got dinner together that Friday night at Rosas, so we'll see you.
Definitely.
You guys can feel free to make that your home base.
So you come in on the 2nd, right? What
Yep.
time do you guys get in?
Flight leaves at 10:45 now, so that it's typically 3 hours, so we'll get in 1:45 p.m.,
Okay.
give or take, and then we've got a car service waiting for us. They'll pick us up. That's funny. We were coming in JetBlue, and I actually prefer to fly JetBlue. I just like the flights better. I like the planes better than Southwest. Drives my kids nuts because when I fly on business, I'm always in first class, and when I fly with them, we're always on JetBlue or Southwest. Drives Luke right out of his mind. But they were disappointed. They love JetBlue, and they love the look of the new terminal, but they didn't really bring it up until later on. They were very much upset that they weren't going to be on the APM getting greeted by Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer because you walk straight out of that terminal. So when I told them we were switching to Southwest, they were actually excited because it meant an APM ride. And you want to talk about nostalgia. Because of the way the terminals are set up, if you guys have flown in JetBlue, you take a different route to Disney when you come into Terminal C out of JetBlue because you go out the east side instead of the west side. And they don't get to see all the same things. They don't get to go past Disney Springs. They don't get to go past Hotel Plaza Boulevard. And so they were actually excited coming in Southwest because they get to come into the regular terminal. They get to take the APM and they get the same ride that they've always had for years, seeing all the same stuff. And it's funny to see it through their eyes because as they explained it, they know the landmarks that show they're getting closer and closer and closer to the park because they've taken that route so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in JetBlue, they didn't get as excited because they didn't have those landmarks getting closer to the park, so they couldn't tell that they were getting closer. So they're really excited that we switched flights because, again, even at 10 and 12, the nostalgia of seeing the casting building outside of Disney Springs just resonates with them. So the fact that we've got the APM and we've got the same route to the park has them very excited.
What time do you leave on the 11th?
It's a fairly early flight. I want to say we go out noontime or so.
Oh,
there were a
okay.
couple of options. I don't like leaving too early and I don't like leaving too late. So early, you've got to wake the kids up. You've got to be packed the night before. So it kind of wrecks your last night in
Yeah.
the park because you've got to get everything packed so you can get out of the hotel. And if you leave too late, you've got that weird sense of homelessness where you're stressed about getting back to your car and missing your flight and bell services and you can't really enjoy it. And then it's a Sunday. They're already missing 6 days of school. So we've got to get them back at a reasonable time to get them settled, get them to bed, and get them ready for the next day.
Yeah. That's going to be a nice trip.
Definitely.
I hope so. Certainly been looking forward to it for long enough. And I booked that one literally the morning that it opened
Yeah.
up for booking.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
I'm excited. I think the tower looks beautiful. Again, I think there are going to be downsides of it. I think you are going to lose the ambiance of walking around the Poly property at night. I've always said one of the coolest parts of Poly is walking through that property at night. It's dark, the paths, all the torches are lit. It's quiet, but there's something kind of cool about being that far over in your own new tower, brand new rooms, beautiful lobby. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be a wonderful trip. Like, what are we sitting here discussing? Like, what kind of problems are these? Well, I don't know if I'm going to have the same ambiance with 10 days at the new Poly Tower in a one bedroom. Grow up. Jeez.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see after staying there if that is going to be the place that you want to continue to stay on future trips, or if you'll say, you know what, if we're going to stay at Poly, we'll suck it up and we'll stay in an OG studio. And if we want to stay in a 1-bedroom, we'll stay somewhere else.
Well, I've always said there are other places that for the 1-bedrooms I absolutely adore that I would love to own at. The problem is those are all expiring in 18 years.
Yeah. Well, my beach club is in right of first refusal right now.
Oh, is it? Did it move?
It is. Yeah. It moved quickly.
We love Boulder Ridge. We love Boardwalk. We would love to own and stay there, but I have a contract right now that's still got 40 plus years left in it versus 18. So there's a lot to be said there.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to having a conversation about it when you return. And I mean, Kathleen and Scott, you haven't stayed there yet, right? So you will be staying there when?
The 17th, I believe.
17th of May, we're in a duo studio.
That's what I say. You had a duo studio. I remember you said you would book that. I'd be curious to see the photos inside of that. I'd like to say I'm going to give you guys a room tour, but I have the feeling that as soon as my children walk through the door, there is just going to be things thrown in 42 different directions. So we'll see if I actually pull that off or not.
I think our category is premium view.
I don't even know how they do that
Let me
anymore.
look.
Like Phil said, I don't know what
I get confused how they've changed it now.
I do know you're going to love the 1-bedroom, Phil, because that was what we looked at Saratoga when they did
I
the
love them.
preview.
Oh, it's
and those
absolutely
things.
beautiful. We were walking through that at Saratoga, just in love with it. I have no complaints yet with how it's set up, at least from a quick walkthrough at Saratoga. It looks absolutely gorgeous. We'll see how it feels to actually live in it, but the walkthrough is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Well, and that bathroom is just like the lap of luxury.
Yeah, I think that's always Em's favorite part. That's why she always wants to go for the 1-bedroom. She loves the jacuzzi tubs. Like that's what she looks forward to the most, is being able to come back from the parks at the end of the night. You put the kids to sleep and she just goes and hides in there and falls asleep in the jacuzzi tub for an hour.
Unless you're at Old Key West.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Well,
so what we're referring to is a recent post on another page where someone's wife was confirmed to have contracted E. coli from the jacuzzi tub. Now, I don't know what confirmed means. These are all allegations. But there's our first fairy horn.
You can't.
That's
you can't
a crock
confirm.
of E. coli infested.
I know how people get E. coli, and you can't confirm of where they got it from. Like, there's no possible way that they know that she got E. coli from a hot tub in Old Key West.
Multiple ways to
multiple ways to get E. coli, and you just can't narrow it down like that.
As much as I do want to blame the tub at Old Key West, I don't think I can quite solely blame that.
But yeah, real quick, our duo studio is a premium view, whatever that is. I think it's fireworks, theme park, something.
No, I think theme park. I think premium looks at the lake, but you don't get a view of the fireworks.
Yeah, I think that's the old water view.
Okay.
Is what qualifies as premium.
I get so confused on them.
It just means you're looking at the Grand Floridian.
Yeah,
premium.
We definitely have the standard view, because I mean, even that, I forget how many points I paid, but it was just shy of 300 for the stay just to have the standard view. I mean, it was like 280-ish for the stay. We are definitely splurging for this one.
Yeah, that's definitely a splurge. Well, I mean, 10 days in a 1-bedroom is a nice trip.
Yeah, so when we were doing the room tour at Saratoga, there were a bunch of cast members and guides, and I think there were some people from another DVC rental agency whose name I will not mention. So they said, "Oh, do you like it?" I said, "Yeah, we've actually got a trip booked." And there was like a crowd of 8 or 10 sitting around. They said, "Oh, when?" I said, "Well, we've got 10 days here in May." And you should have seen their eyes got as big as saucer plates. Like, "You've got 10 days in a 1-bedroom in May?" I said, "Yeah, it cost us a pretty penny in points." And they were all envious. I think we actually had a guide that asked if we could adopt her and she could come stay with us.
Phil's going to join the dark side of the folks that have to borrow.
Do you really want to know? I still banked 80 ahead.
I'm not surprised one bit.
Well, I bought both my contracts fully loaded with previous points, and because the kids up until this point have been younger and we've been able to really maximize our points, when we bought our contracts, we bought it with the idea that we would be staying in 1-bedrooms. even knowing we had Polly and we would have to wait till 7 months. But we bought it expecting to have to pay for 1 bedrooms. And up until the last couple of years, we've been able to keep everyone in the studio and they've been perfectly happy. So there has not been a year that I have not banked points ahead. I know that I overspent on Grand Californian for a 1 bedroom and I overspent on this one for Polly for a 1 bedroom. But because we had 275 points total banked ahead for years, I've only slowly been eating off of that surplus that we started with. So I've been able to keep some points banked ahead to make it work.
Oh, there you go.
Any plans on a future contract?
No. I mean, we've talked about it, but as long as I keep it reasonable, we're okay. And everyone thinks I'm joking. What happens with my DVC contract is really going to depend on what Disney does with these parks in the next few years. It sounds silly, but a lot of this really hinges on what happens to Frontierland. That is something that, Amy talked in the last episode about how deep of a cut it was to see Jelly Rolls go away. That is my favorite part of the park. Hands down, no questions asked. From the time I was little, walking along the rivers of America has been my happy place. If that just turns into an asphalt jungle and I don't like the theming, I could see us significantly cutting down our trips, especially as the kids get older and we want to take them other places. We want to go to the Pacific Islands. We want to go to Europe with the kids. I might not need the points when we get there. And then if we buy something down near you guys, then I need the points even less. And maybe I want to turn that into a bigger condo. Who knows? I mean, with the kids getting older and college looming on the horizon, and our plans might have to change. If you had asked me a year and a half ago, I was probably in for another 75 points, give or take. But with the way the kids are growing up and us looking at different things and the choices that Disney is making, it's altering the equation a little bit.
Where do you own at? Do you just own at Poly, or?
Yeah, we have 2 contracts at Poly, a 150 and a 125. 150 direct, 125 resale.
You just banked 80 and I'm selling my beach club. So I only have my Copper Creek, which is a 75-point contract. So I'm like really trying to manage these 75 points.
Hey, I have numerous times offered to loan you some points at a very, very reasonable interest rate.
I mean, I might need to take you up.
I don't know. I think I still owe Scott and Kathleen for a couple of stays. I might actually owe them a Fort Wilderness cabin or something. I'm not sure.
No.
I've been thinking about it because, I'm selling this with the intention of buying the Lakeshore Lodge when it opens. And, I've been kind of been going back and forth because I have also been having this feeling of like, gosh, so many of the things that I love are going away. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? If I buy it, even if I don't want to go, you can rent those points out so easily to help finance another vacation, which is really nice.
Yeah, it is a nice option to have.
There's always that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we weren't long-term looking at owning something down in the Florida area, I think we would just rent. But there might come a point when we want a bigger property down there, and another $50,000 goes a long way.
Yeah. Oh,
but that
sure
decision's
does.
a long way down the road. I mean, the kids are still little, but they're at the age now where we have to at least start thinking ahead. And I think about it, I'm
right.
like, my oldest is going into 8th grade. Like, we've got another 4+ years, and then it's college. Like, that's going to happen really fast.
Listen, my oldest was in 8th grade a minute ago, and now she's a sophomore in college. So
life changes.
It flies. Yeah. Flies by.
But that's it in a nutshell. I mean, we're looking forward to it. I think that vacation is set up pretty well. I'm looking at my multicolored, multi-tiered, multi-page spreadsheet in front of me because I'm a nut like that. But as always, you guys know what I have said. Plan the heck out of it and be ready to light it all on fire and go with the flow. Either way, it's going to be an amazing trip. How can it not be an amazing trip? You get to spend 10 days at the Polynesian in beautiful weather with flower and garden going on. Like, how is that not going to be amazing?
Right.
It's going to be amazing. And 10 days is going to be just so great.
It does. We were joking about it today. We're like, when you're looking ahead to a 10-day vacation, you're like, it's going to be amazing. The last time we went for 8, 9, 10 days, we came back and we're like, we need a vacation after 10 days at Disney. We've got to be very careful not to beat ourselves down in that kind of time.
Well, it sounds like you're very intentional about building in that like this trip is going to be a slower paced vacation than you've done in the past.
Yeah, I think we're hoping for that. We always say that, but luckily I have a wife who's far more sane than I am, who keeps me on the right track because I will push pretty hard if given the choice.
Well, I think having the one bedroom is going to be great because you're going to have the kitchen. You're planning on bringing food so that you can have lunches by the pool. Like that's going to be that already is going to change the kind of the tone of the trip.
Yeah, and it's funny. The kids, the older they get, it's funny, the more time they want to spend at the pool, which is why one of the reasons, I guess, that we maximized the May trip. Like for years, our big trip was 8 to 10 days in December and then 4 or 5 days in May. But with the proliferation of the Christmas parties taking up all the Magic Kingdom time and the fact that they have not been able to swim a lot in December, this year it switched. The May trip was the really long trip and the December trip was the short trip. We just brought them down to see the decorations, and then they just all through the day, they want to do rides, but by 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, they just start. Can we go to the pool? Can we go to the pool? Can we go to the pool? So I think we're going to spend a lot of time by the pool this year, just relaxing and letting them enjoy themselves. And, we mentioned in a previous episode, we always go looking to make that next memory, but it's always when you're not trying to make the memories that they happen. So I'm just trying to let it develop organically and just enjoy ourselves and spend some time together.
Yeah. And, like I see with my own kids as they've gotten older, just hanging out in the resort is something that they love. Not even at the pool, just like being in the room. Like there's something about being in the room that they love. They get to relax. They don't have the stress of schoolwork. They don't have the stress of the mess that they have around them in their room. They can just hang out in a new environment, maybe they love, because Disney is so contained, they love the autonomy of being able to walk over to the, gift shop if they want to. I mean, when I was just there for the closing of Jelly Rolls and I was in line all darn day, Emma hung out. She's 17, so she could hang out at the pool by herself. She went over to the boardwalk, watched the fireworks from the boardwalk, did some shopping, got some food. I told her, you can go anywhere. You can get on the Skyliner. You can go wherever you want. She went to the shop on the boardwalk and got some like mac and cheese, brought it back to the room, made mac and cheese in the room, and sat and read her book in the room for a while and then watched her show, like having the room all to herself, which made, it's kind of like the sense of like independence that they love. And they can do that at Disney because you feel safe with them doing it, which is really nice.
Yeah, she was living the life.
Yeah, totally.
All right, well, that's our trip in a nutshell. When this airs, actually, we will be there. Just like when your episode airs on the cruise, you guys will be getting ready to get underway. We timed that fairly well, I think.
Yeah, so we'll be on the
Yes.
cruise while you're at the beginning part of your trip, right?
Correct. Yep, that's why only Scott's coming with us to Typhoon Lagoon, because you guys will still be at sea.
You'll be at a theme park.
Fun.
You'll be at a water park themed after a shipwreck, and we will be on a ship.
Yes.
I was wondering where that was going. On a ship, not on a shipwreck themed as a water park.
I was just going to say, I hope it's not a...
Well, I hope you guys have a great time and looking forward to hearing all of your thoughts.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be communicating all together while we're down there.
Yes.
All right, well, I guess that wraps us up. Thank you, everyone, as always, for listening. If you could head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a like, a 5-star review, drag some other silly people like us into the group, into the masses, into the shenanigans, we would appreciate it. Amy?
And if you don't already belong to our Facebook group, DVC Clubhouse, please head over there and join the group and join the conversation. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
We started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.